everyone. Welcome to LOA Uncorked. This is Holly.
And this is Jeanna.
And oh my God, Jeanna. Okay, like everybody, our audience should head over to YouTube.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Because we are with an incredible, beautiful, wonderful woman, Sandra Biskind.
But we do claim the kind.
Like, be kind.
It's heavy on the kind. Yeah. Got it.
Yes, wonderful. She is an amazing global thought leader, international speaker, spiritual mentor. She's a #1 best-selling author of the CodeBreaker, Discover the Password and Unlock the Best Version of You. We're excited. We're going to talk about some of that stuff today. And really her mission is to free people to live a life without limits. And we're so, Jeanna.
Amen to that. I mean, you should see that view out here. It's limitless. Yeah. We turn this around. It's limitless. This is what it's all about.
It is. Yes. So if I'm a little giddy and I'm pronouncing things wrong, it's just because we are in her marvelous presence, and we're so thankful to be here. Welcome to the show, Sandra.
Well, after that, thank you so much. You know, when you guys invited me to be part of this podcast, I thought, who are they? What do they do? And then I read a little bit about you, and I realized, no, we're soul sisters. It's okay. We're all on a mission. Which, if you're watching this, I guess you are too. And that mission is to really be of service and empower not only ourselves to live the light and to manifest financial freedom and fun and great health, but to help other people do the same thing. So I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so beautiful.
Thank goodness for some soul sisters.
I know.
Yes.
I know, and Holly and I have both found that, this law of attraction, wide, vast group of people that we've been so fortunate to get to know since we started the podcast just 3 years ago, it's just spectacular. It's spectacular, the people and the quality and just the kindness and they model the way.
Well, and I think it's no coincidence that you started this 3 years ago, by the way, because we all know what happened on the planet 3 years ago, right?
Sure, yeah.
And we had to really adapt and come to understand that if we don't collaborate and we don't support each other, we're not going to have a happy life. That we really needed to, and happiness and success, it's why we're here. And a lot of people go, what do you mean? Right? Because they don't believe they deserve to be happy. They don't understand that success can be theirs. And they've tried a lot of things, but a lot of things haven't worked for them. And I'd love to go as to why they haven't worked.
Oh, I love that. And we're going to...
That is a teaser.
That is a teaser
Yeah.
because we get asked that question a lot, so you're going to answer it for us, which is wonderful.
And Holly has a few personal related questions along those lines, as do I. So
well, one of the things that we found very interesting about you and your husband Daniel is that you started this journey when you were quite young. And Jeanna and I were talking that we feel like when you're talking about being a light, being a presence, being part of moving all of our consciousness forward, our young people are starving for it right now. So I feel like your awakening started at the youngest we've ever interviewed anybody, at the youngest, and I'm seeing it in younger people, so we want to stay relevant. So maybe we can start there, Jeanna.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah. What we like to do, Sandra, just as a start to the podcast, always with our guest, is to ask for you to kind of just give a brief overview of yourself and your background and your story, kind of the milestones along the way for you that would be important for listeners to know about you before we dive into the questions and the conversation today.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. People always ask me, well, when did you know that you were a medium? When did you know that you were connected to Source? And at the age of 3, I had Jesus appear to me. I didn't know it was Jesus. He appeared to me, and he was speaking to me every night. So much so that I went to my mummy and said, "Hey, Mummy, what does Jesus talk to you about when you go to bed at night?"
Oh, wow.
And she went, "What does he talk to you about?" Because we didn't have that word, that name. We weren't Christians, as in there was no religion in our home.
Okay.
And so she's wondering, how the hell did this child hear about this man?
Right.
And then I told her, well, he speaks to me every night. And he said to me, Sandra, you are a child of God and you are you have come here to let everyone else in the world know that that's who they are.
Oh.
And that was the message. So ever since then, that message is underlying everything that I do. And I almost died at the age of 18, and that was a, you know how you have these moments in your life where you think you're going to do this, and then all of a sudden, no, I'm going this way, right?
Redirected. Yes. Yeah.
And but it was during that process that I was my first enlightenment, full enlightenment awareness experience. You know, I went into a place of peace, which I found out was our natural state. I was in this expanded place of love. It didn't matter what was going on. I had a massive awareness that everybody else in this ward, the doctors, nurses, everyone, was me. They weren't separate from me.
Yeah.
And I actually could know, I knew what they were feeling. And I trusted in this process. I'm like, oh, so I'm dying. Okay, I'm dying. But there was no anxiety with it. And there was an integrity to it. Integrity is one of my favorite words. It's about wholeness. It was like there was no part of me that wasn't in alignment with the joy of what was happening. And I was completely neutral. And you guys need to know this. You guys need to know this. Neutrality is another word for enlightenment. It's where you become you become the silent observer of what is without being triggered. So in other words, you're trigger free. And that's our work. We do quantum corrections to help people become trigger free and neutral and enlightened, right? And then the unity of going, oh, there is only one. There is only one. I'm sitting here with me, and I look so beautiful.
Yes,
and there is only one.
Yeah.
And then of course it was about mindfulness, being totally mindful of what's going on. That was the beginning of the Platinum Life system, really,
Right.
which I downloaded, 50 years later. And so there was that, and then 2 months later, my mother was killed. So she was 41. She was given 18 pints of the wrong blood group after a hysterectomy, and she bled out and died. And then my life went from that way back to that way, and everything that I thought I would do in my life was gone. And so 18 onwards, nightmare. I left school and I started taking over my parents' business, which was a fashion industry. 2 years later, I had sold the business for my father. I had married a man 10 years older than me that my mother liked, and he just happened to be the head controller of women's fashion of Target Australia. So here I am, still in the fashion industry, and I couldn't get a job. So I decided to open my own business, which I did. And everybody all the businessmen in the town said, oh, you're a silly little girl, you'll be broke within 6 months. Because I had chosen a townhouse outside the retail area. Right. And so 25 years later, 7 boutiques and my own label. I guess we proved it.
I love it.
Right on. So don't, whatever you do watching this, please, I know all of us have had people who have wanted to squash our dreams, and they're not even doing it deliberately. They just think you are stupid. Yeah. They don't understand that you have an inner knowing, and that you are manifesting a dream in a life that they wouldn't take the risk to do. Right. So I think that when you're manifesting, you're a risk taker. And if you're not a risk taker, don't even think you're going to manifest anything. I know that that's probably not what anyone else has said, but it's really important.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And so 7 years later, just another milestone, I got up the courage to leave what had become a very abusive marriage. And I knew that if I didn't do something very quickly, that I was not going to survive. And so I discovered meditation. I was invited into a Geelong Christian spiritual healing circle, where we walked in, and every Thursday night we were expected to give hands-on healing, give messages, and to do all of this spiritual stuff. And I'm going, oh, so now I'm home. So now I'm home, right? Because it was where I belonged. When you find a community that is expecting you to push yourself a little bit and to do things you never thought that you would do, then you're at home.
Yes.
Right?
And support you along the way.
Total and complete support, without doubt, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so from 27 to 45, I ran my fashion boutiques. But in between all of that, I was putting on mind, body, spirit festivals in different cities, writing for magazines in Australia and New Zealand. And so that whole spiritual life was burbling underneath everything.
And it was always there.
Always. It was never not there. And it was the reason why people would, my boutique was successful, by the way, because I had a day where one of my staff members came to me and said, you know, Sandra, when you come to work, we don't know what we're going to get. We're walking on eggshells. Are we getting mad, angry, sad, happy? Like, what Sandra are we getting? And the light went on and I went, oh, so I have been completely oblivious to how I'm showing up.
To your energy that comes with you into the workplace.
This is called awareness, and that's the A in platinum. And I had no awareness whatsoever because I was so self-absorbed in my own pain. And instead of saying, oh, hang on a minute, give me a break. I'm in the middle of divorce, a painful divorce. I'm sick. I'm going to surgery again. My business is going under because we're having a financial crisis. I actually could have named like 5 reasons why I was being a bitch and not knowing it. That was the thing that really struck me, was not knowing. Right? Of course. The obliviousness. And then so I decided. I said thank you.
What a gift.
Yes. And every morning I sat in my car, and I'm going to teach you guys something really important. I sat in my car and I took a deep breath before going into any of my businesses. And I asked myself 4 questions. And what happened was, because I had started meditating already, what happened was I understood that we had to master our frequency. When you master your frequency, then wherever you go, people go, whoa, what is that? I want that. I want what she's having. Right. When you master your frequency. And I asked myself 4 questions that changed my frequency instantly. And when I went into my businesses, my staff going, oh, we really like her being in here now. And I had clients coming out of the woodwork going, you just want to be here. It feels so good. This is the frequency, right?
This is incredible.
Really
well, because we didn't know. So Sandra, we didn't know we were doing that. So for the listeners that don't know, that Jeanna and I have worked together in a corporate C-suite, gigs for 18 years. So we would I would talk about changing my frequency when I go into a hard meeting. So I didn't have the 4 questions at the time, but I would, and I didn't understand what I was doing, but I would do it, then I'd tell her to do it. And then we were talking today, in fact, before we were coming to see you, we were talking about, well, we think we accomplished so much at that corporate job because of our energy. We didn't even know what we were doing, Sandra. We had no idea.
But you know what? Your true self did.
Yes.
I think
so. When you have this incredible, I call it using super consciousness, higher awareness. Which you have. Everybody's true self is fully connected to everything that we need to know. You were tapping into the divinity of you, which was saying to you, change your frequency, girl. You're going to get to this, but this is but this is what you've got to do. Right? And so I just want to say, wow. No, I mean, honestly, wow. I mean, because that's awareness. Not many people, especially in the corporate world, could give me that story.
But I, too, probably was called a bitch, and I'm direct, so I'm not from Australia, but I have that direct gene. We're sisters from another life, maybe. Because I have that, too, so I would be called a bitch, or I'd be called whatever, and I was like, drive hard, get stuff done, and the reality is you can get just as much or more done if you just change your frequency. I didn't know the words to understand that, but that evolved, and we worked together, Jeanna and I, through those times to make everything better, ourselves, and the triggers, because I said the corporate environment is a petri dish to trigger you.
Yes, exactly. Well, you know what? I think life is a petri dish
to
trigger you. Well, I mean, your child, your older parents, your siblings, the people you work with, anything can trigger anybody. Because the other thing is, our unconscious mind is running our show 95% of the time, minimum, which means you can walk out into the world and you can see somebody who is fat or thin or tall or short or you know, different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the ego mind goes, the ego mind, did you hear that? That code drops in because the unconscious mind's going, oh, I don't like that, or that's scary, or they remind me of me and I don't like me. But no, truly.
So very true.
Because self-criticism and self-judgment are the biggest things. Once you allow yourself to do that, what do?
You do it to everybody
You do
else.
to everybody else.
I love
And
this
whatever, and whatever you're criticizing is a direct reflection on something you don't like about yourself.
Always.
But that is hard to hear.
Hard to hear. Holly used to tell me that all the time. She goes, listen, Jeanna, this is in these car rides up to corporate meetings, and she goes,
we had 3-hour rides.
The reason you're upset is because it isn't about him, it's about you. And I'm like, gosh darn it, no way.
Holly, I always say it's only ever about you.
Yes.
It's never about a family member, it's never about a corporate, it's never about anybody but you. If you're feeling pain or you're triggered, there's only one question you have to ask yourself. Why am I feeling triggered? Why am I feeling triggered? What do I believe to be true about me that this is hurting me? Because somebody else could be in the same situation and not be triggered at all. But that's where I want to teach everybody the 4 questions. Because you knew them kind of automatically. But what I said to myself in the car was, what am I feeling? And you guys, what am I feeling?
But that's often a hard thing to, that's very hard to do. You know, we talk about that a lot, and we both have struggles with that. Like, it's easier to assume or at least
or
point out
disconnect from feelings.
Right. And then to say what you think someone else is feeling.
Yeah, don't you
But
love
it's
that?
so hard. It's so hard to do it for yourself, and it's so
human.
Yeah, it's so important. Keep going. Sorry, I love that question.
I love this.
How are we feeling? Okay, I like that. Number 1.
So number 1 was what am I feeling? And at that time I'm going, I feel unsupported, unloved, angry,
stressed,
and hurt,
scared,
and experienced. There was a long list.
Of course.
But the second question is the question that opens up the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind can flower for you and give you information if you ask it. And the second question was, what am I focused on?
Okay.
So
I love that.
I know. So what was I was focused on the fact that I had suppliers ringing me for money every half hour in my shop that I didn't have. I was embarrassed. There was no such thing as cell phones in those days, by the way. It's a long time ago.
Everything went through your employees, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed. I was upset. I didn't know what to say to them. I had people around. I mean, it was like I was focused on the fact that I was under so much pressure I didn't know what to do. And that, of course, the symptom of that was unsupported, unloved, stressed, everything. The distinction between the 2 questions is important because a lot of people get confused. They get confused with what am I feeling to what am I focused on.
Right.
But what you're focused on is what gives you the symptom.
Yes.
Right.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. Gee, I've never said it that way before. Thank you. Being around. See what happens when you're around high consciousness people?
Yes.
No, that makes complete sense. Of course.
Totally. And then
the first question is the byproduct of the second question.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And all your symptoms are a byproduct of you, what you're thinking, feeling, and emoting, right? And so then the third question is, what do I want to feel? Well, and sometimes that's not so easy for people either.
Yeah.
Right? So I knew though, I wanted to feel happy about being in my business again. Come on, I don't want to go to work. In fact, some days I only got myself out of bed to go to work because my beautiful sister was in there on her own. And I wouldn't leave her there on her own. Right? So there was a lot of depression, anxiety there. But so I wanted to feel happy. And then the last question is the big kahuna. Right? Yeah. It's what focus will serve that. I'm talking about focus. Yeah, because what you focus on creates your frequency, which creates your happiness and success or not.
Right. What focus will serve the feeling that you want to feel?
That's right. Exactly.
Wow.
And for me it was, okay, I have to focus on the fact that, wow, I created these businesses. I've got some of the most fabulous staff ever supporting me. I've got suppliers who I think are supporting me. I've got my sister. I've actually got a wealth of collaboration, support. I've got a business that, it's suffering now, but boy, it's a brilliant business. The minute I got out of my car, my frequency was like, it was almost like I was doing these twirls. And when I walked into the boutiques, people are like, what is this?
Oh, I
You know,
like that.
oh yeah, what is this? What is this frequency?
Right.
What is this? It was a love of my business. It was a love of what I had created. It was a love of everybody who was creating it with me.
Right.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
The 3-year-old's going, you are
Yes.
loved, you're a child of God, and you're here to let everyone know that they are loved also.
Yeah.
Right? And so not many people know that they are loved or
Right.
loved.
Right.
And what happened for me was within 3 years, I became a self-made millionaire by changing my frequency, bringing no longer oblivious. And what for me it was like, okay, so then with the next financial crisis when I lost everything again, it didn't matter because my frequency didn't change.
Right.
I had mastered the art of keeping my frequency neutral and stable in an enlightened place of being, so that no matter what was happening, I was still the master of my own destiny, right?
I love that. Okay, but I have a question about this. As I'm hearing you talk and I'm talking about you've mastered neutrality. So the question I have is, was it your experience you had, I think you said at 18, where you felt all love? So for those of us who haven't had that experience of oneness and we haven't had the ayahuasca or the drugs or whatever you can take to try to experience that, do you think that that helped you understand, and people that haven't experienced that, whether they're missing something there, or what are your thoughts on that?
Brilliant question. And exactly, I had the experience of it. I knew it was possible even though I wasn't living it. And then I got myself back there by doing the work, right?
Yeah.
So the 4 questions was like a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
The rest of it was about understanding how our DNA works, how the information in our DNA is controlling us, and how to neutralize and delete out of our DNA. So it's like a mindset reset, it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, psychic, how to reset everything so you just get back to neutral. Like I say to people when I'm doing a quantum correction, what are you feeling? A number out of 10, how bad is it? 10 being bad, 0 being neutral.
Right.
At 0 is neutral,
Right.
obviously. And they say, I'm a 10 or I'm 100 or whatever, and we go, great, let's get you to neutral. Now you might think, what do you mean, let's get you to neutral? But the fact is that I'm being given information about you. Your true self starts speaking to me and says, this and this happened to you, and these are the decisions you made.
Yeah.
And I neutralize the emotional trauma, it's gone out of your system, the decision no longer has an impact on you, and guess what? You're back in neutrality. So the aim of the game for all of humanity is to correct out of their systems the unconscious hidden programs that we don't even know are there, that come up, slap you around, and which is what they do, and then you're going like, what just happened? Why did I say that? Why did I do that?
Right.
So as you clear, the more you clear out of your system, the more centered, joyous, loving you become.
Right.
And you understand what the truth is. The truth is that you do have an ego puppy, and in CodeBreaker we say, when we started downloading CodeBreaker, it was like a lot of people in the new age, where I came from, decades ago, they were saying kill the ego, and I'm going, hang on a minute, this is about wholeness, enlightenment, and then wholeness. So did you notice I'm saying wholeness after enlightenment?
Yes.
Yeah, because enlightenment is what I had always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Because I knew that state of neutrality was so important. But I was channeling one night this incredible energy of a whole big group of women and one man up the back with his arms around his girlfriend. And afterwards, these beautiful energies always said, any questions? And he shot his arm up and he said, yes! He said, what is the greatest gift I can give my beloved? See what she just did? Did you see that, guys? Listen, that's exactly every woman in the room.
In the whole room,
Can we just have that guy?
I want what she's having.
I have to start fanning myself. Not seeing it. I mean, like the goosebumps went down my spine.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what came out of my and I'm
I was gonna say, what did you say?
I'm a conscious channel, which means I know what's going on. So when he asked that question, I went, oh shit. And the words that came through were, the greatest gift that you can give your beloved is your own wholeness. So that when she looks into your eyes, she sees her own wholeness looking back at her. She doesn't see criticism, judgment. She doesn't see she doesn't live up to anything. She doesn't see she's a bad person or not good enough.
Okay, now I'm starting to cry.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Right? So that changed.
You're okay, Gigi.
You can cry too.
She's gonna start
I'm
crying.
looking out over the beautiful view and trying to change my mind. God, that is so.
Oh no, keep going. We're so sorry. I mean,
No,
it's
I
emotional. It is emotional.
love this. Well, it is
That's
emotional.
beautiful.
Because let's face it, if you made your partner your highest priority, or your partner's happiness your highest priority, not at the expense of your own,
Sure,
but your highest priority, then, and she or he only had their own wholeness reflected back at them, what kind of relationship do you think you're going to have, right?
yeah.
And so it changed our work. We were all full out Enlightenment, and then we went, no, this is about wholeness, which is about integrity, which is about bringing together every single aspect of who we are, our emotional, mental, physical, spiritual bodies into this plane where we can say, everyone I see is a reflection of me, and if they're mucking up, then obviously I need to learn something here. Like, it's not about them. So you're not going into, I call it the no BJC rule. Blame, justify, complain. Right?
Blame, justify, complain. I love that.
Yeah. I am giving you a lot here.
Oh, listen,
No,
this
right?
is so really.
Absolutely. Well, we have our badassery principles, and one of them is, we're on a judgment. The only diet we believe in is a judgment-free diet, but we don't have blame
and complain.
Complain.
Well, when you complain, you go into victim mode.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Very low energy.
It's like it's someone else's problem to solve.
Yes,
and it's not. It's yours.
Yeah, and I can tell you
reaction
something. You have never met a successful victim.
No,
you haven't. I mean, I said that the first time.
true.
The first time I said that, I was in a group of 500
actually
women,
really funny.
and somebody put her hand up and said, "You've never met my mother." And I thought, oh yeah, there's always one.
That's funny.
No, it was. But you're never going to meet a successful victim, and not only that, the frequency of victim is the ego puppy. It's the ego code, right? It's where your little puppy is nipping at your heels, probably piddling and pooping all over you, and saying, "Hey, this is unjust, unfair. It's all of these things."
Yeah.
Whereas when you go, hang on, that's just a story. It's not real. What is the truth? The truth is that I am a high frequency divine being, and I can trust that everything I need to know and do and have is within my reach. Right? When I'm clear. Like with the law of attraction, I've always loved the law of attraction, except for one little missing aspect.
Yes.
That people who work with me, they say, I'm just, I don't get it. I don't get it because I don't get it. I'm not good enough.
Right.
If I was good enough, or if I was loved, or if I was something else.
It makes you feel not worthy.
Yes. And so.
Or you're doing something wrong.
Right. And I'm saying, no, it's not you. First of all, it's your own conscious mind and your ego puppy who is like barking all over the place, because your ego's job is to keep you down. Your ego's job isn't to uplift you and support you. Your ego's job is keep you in a place where they are in control. Your ego is in control.
Yeah, keep you safe.
Exactly. Keep you
safe.
You just said it right.
Yeah.
And of course, the ego mind can't keep anything safe.
No, and you can't change or do anything that's scary. Don't do it. Keep you safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really important for everybody to realize that if you're not manifesting the life that you want, you have a program within your system, and it's come from your ancestors, it's come from a past life, it's come from current life conditioning, but you do have a program that you need to discover and delete out of your system. Once you've done that, it's like, oh, so this is what financial freedom feels like. It feels like I can pay my rent easily. I can do what I want to do in the world and be happy, and I can earn enough money to even give if I want to give, right? I can have the love of my life, love and adore me as I love and adore him or her, right? That's to me, that's financial freedom. Yeah. Financial freedom encompasses everything. It's kind of like the abundance code, really, isn't it?
Yes.
It's stepping into it. You can't step into it no matter how much you manifest, no matter how many boards you create with everything on your vision
business plan,
no matter how many prayers you say,
Yes.
if you're saying, I'm so happy and grateful for the love of my life coming into my life. First of all, they're coming into your life, they're not there. And secondly, this little voice under there is going, really? You don't deserve that. Didn't you realize that? You know, like all of those boyfriends that dumped you, all those girlfriends that have walked away.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're happy and grateful for the love of your life. You'll never have that.
And then that may be running behind the scenes,
Right.
all behind the scenes,
Right.
realizing that.
So it's the
Don't know
programming
it's
in your subconscious.
Yeah, I go deeper than sub.
Okay.
I'm talking right in the unconscious. It is
Okay.
so hidden
Okay.
that
In
that's-
your DNA.
in your DNA.
Like at a cellular sort
That's
of
right, it's a
Yes.
cellular
level.
So
Okay.
that means that you're not
Got
going to
it.
discover it unless you can discover it, unless you have a system where you discover it. By the way, in CodeBreaker, we give people the system how
Yes.
to delete it.
Yes.
And find it and delete it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And a workbook to help you walk your way
Exactly.
through it.
Yeah. I mean, because obviously when you come and work with me in my live events or our programs, I do it for you. But you're not going to, we're all sovereign beings. We're all the guru and masters of our own lives. So being able to be given the information that you can use, and yeah, of course, we've all got it. I mean, my most grateful that I've been in my life is having 2 older women mentors. And oh my God, can I tell you, if you don't have an older woman mentor yet, get one. Because what they do is...
She's looking at me with such sad eyes. I'm sorry, we're interrupting you. What they do is so much, I can't wait to hear that, but that's a big complaint that I always had. I was like, I've always been alone.
Right.
I've always had to be scrappy.
That's right.
And I'm of the age group that, women didn't really mentor women.
Yeah.
And we're
And certainly in
we're closer
corporate.
in vintage than she is, but and in the corporate environment, I was always the only woman because I was an executive in the finance area, and so the men didn't help you or mentor you.
Oh, they would be competing with you or trying to put you down.
They would put you down, and don't be too good because then you're
scary.
you're very
It's not
You
only
scare
that,
me, right?
You're scaring them.
Yeah, you're
See,
scaring them.
And what
yes.
happens there is with the male counterparts, they have such insecure programs, and it's only the insecurity unconscious programs that they are running that have them act like that.
Yes.
Because if they didn't have the programs running, they'd be out there going, "What do you need? How can I help you?"
And
Right?
some were. I had one
Yeah.
boss that was,
Yes,
but
you did.
and I love working with men, but that was like my experience. So let's go back to your women mentors.
Yes,
Let's go
we
back.
want to hear about your
Because
2
we
women
want to
mentors.
hear what that looks
And we've
like,
actually been
how that
talking quite a
feels
bit
like.
about that for ourselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a woman mentor is somebody who loves you unconditionally. No matter what you do, no matter how you muck up, no matter what happens, they're always going to be there loving you and supporting you. This is a big deal. Right? I mean, it rolled off my tongue very easily, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I had one that I met when my mother died, when I was 27, and I would show up at her door and she'd go, "Oh, you again, go away." And I'd look at her and she said, "Okay, come in and have a cup of tea." and she read the tea leaves. Like, she was an Irish clairvoyant, and we would spend hours together when I needed it the most. And in the end, she died in 2016 at the age of 100.
Wow.
And I had all of those years with her, and it was just the most phenomenal relationship, right? And the love was more than mother, grandmother. It was, mentor is a very different love because it transcends everything. Then I had another woman in New Zealand who was the head of the Sufi Order of the West. Right, so this woman had God shining out of her eyes. She would say, one day she said to me, we were saying grace, she said, "Do you know the most important thing about blessing your food? Why it's so wonderful?" I go, "No, why?" She said, "Oh, it's blessed."
Oh, God.
It's blessed. And we took a photo of this woman sitting on a bench outside on a veranda, and when the photo came out, it was just, all you could see was her head. You couldn't see her body. The whole thing was just swirling white light, and you could just see her head coming out through the white light. And it was like, okay, okay.
This is a whole nother level.
This is a whole nother level of interesting. And
Yes.
she came to me because she loved who I was channeling, and she loved him. And but we find our mentors through different ways. We find them on an online program. We see them speaking at a live event.
Yes.
You find them here in this podcast.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so there are a lot of young girls out there looking at you two going, oh, yeah, they were smart. They knew how to do that then, and they didn't even know. Like, that's the kind of mentor you want. Somebody who's already tapping in, and you guys are going to step into the mentor role because you already have by doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing for everybody watching and listening to this. This is a mentorship program, right?
Yes.
Because I'm already sharing in a very short amount of time with you two, distilling decades of wisdom.
Right.
And so we're all being mentors in our own way
Yes,
right now.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
No,
important.
so very beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, your mentors. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
What a story.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Spectacular.
when I met Daniel, he became a mentor as well, my husband, because he was a spiritual rock. God gave him to me. I'm about to do a channeling evening, and my manager comes in and says, oh, this American gentleman's coming. And I'm going, oh, okay. And then I get this message, he's for you, you're going to marry him. And I've gone, oh, God, don't be ridiculous. I'm not going to marry a man I don't know and leave my country, my house, my car, my cat, my family, and my boyfriend in Australia to come to New Zealand. It's like, no. God says how high, I go. God says jump, and I go how high. Not this time. Anyway, 3 weeks later, we were married. And so
3 weeks?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
gosh. No, third date. We agreed.
And this
that we
was
were
in
married.
Wow.
1989. Yeah. We met, and well, first of all, he's a man who's coming to a channeling evening.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty
So
rare
he's
right
got
there.
that right there, right?
Mhm.
And I was staying as far away from him as possible because I was supposed to marry him.
You were pre-warned. Yeah.
And then I did just go up and stand beside him, and he just looked at me like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said later, I didn't know what you looked like, but I felt the energy, the frequency, right? He said that felt really good. This is an important thing when you're manifesting your love relationship. What does it feel like when you're with them? And my manager invited him for dinner the night after, which I was so upset about. I'm going, no, I'm not doing that. So he rang him and invited him. And
they were all conspiring against you.
And I hadn't even told my manager that I'd been told I was going to marry him.
Yeah.
And this story, by the way, a lot of our stories are in CodeBreaker, so there's a lot of fun in the book, right? And he comes, and the first night at 1 o'clock in the morning, he's about to open a bottle of wine. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, there comes a time in your life where you meet someone so special that you don't want to leave them, not even to sleep. First night. And I'm going, and I'm saying, well, that was pretty good, and you still have to go, because I do need to sleep.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And when he leaves, I'm going, oh no, that was really good. Anyway, the next night he comes, we have dinner, and I know, oh no, tonight he's going to ask me to marry him, he's going to buy me the car, he's going to do this. My whole life was like shown to me. And 1 o'clock in the morning again, I'm going, deja vu. And he just looks at me and he says, I want to take you home and look after you for the rest of your life. And I said, that is the best marriage proposal I have ever had.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to leave my country, house, car, cat, family and boyfriend in Australia to live here.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me, he picked my hand up and kissed it, didn't say anything. And in his mind he's going, oh, the boyfriend's over, don't worry about it, she'll be here, and he rang me every day when I went home. Eventually I said to my boyfriend, look, I've met this American gentleman, this is how you manifest, by the way. Just get God to do it for you. No, I'm not joking, just get God to do it, right? Yeah. And I said, I've met this guy and I was told I've got to marry him, so I've got to go back and find out. He said, oh yeah, okay, I'll drive you to the airport. Anyway, I was like,
oh my gosh.
I'm going, yeah. And I arrived there and I'm thinking, I don't even remember what he looks like.
Oh wow.
And this man starts walking toward me with 2 dozen red roses and I'm thinking, okay, that must be him. So I'm in the car and I'm thinking, we'll have dinner together and then I'll go and stay with my manager and it'll be great. And he said to me, I think I should leave the bags in the car. I thought, what a great idea. I said, yeah, we're on the same page. We get home, he gets out of the car, opens his front door and picks me up and walks me over the threshold and looks at me and says, well, I couldn't carry you and the bags at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
And I said,
he's good.
I thought so too.
Dang.
Well, you were thinking close
Dang.
so that you could run home with the bags.
Yeah,
That's what you were thinking.
And I'm going, we're definitely not on the same wavelength.
No.
And when we got in there and I started cooking, I've never seen a human being shake as much as he was shaking. Yeah, shaking. And I looked at him and I just said, oh, all right. I said, so does this mean we're married now? And he looked at me and he said, oh, so you finally got it. This is like 10 hours after meeting him.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah, you're a quick study.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the thing is that what he did was he was married and he kept saying to God every day, so I'm just going to give you some manifesting magic, saying it's LOA Uncorked. And he would say every day, God, I'm giving thanks for your highest and best good for me. I don't care what she looks like. I don't care, anything.
Right.
Just, I'm so happy and grateful for having your highest and best good for me. And if it can be with my wife, great. And if it can't be with my wife, great. And that led to his divorce. It led to him moving to New Zealand. It led to him
getting one of the most beautiful women.
Stunning. I mean,
Stunning women. So he didn't put
stunning.
any looks on there.
Well,
But
no, one day
he gets the stunner.
Yeah,
Okay.
stunning.
No, but one day he said,
Wow.
I do confess being a man.
Yeah.
That I did ask God,
Please.
if she was easy to look at, it would be okay. But don't worry, it's okay. It was okay, right?
Yeah.
And,
God over-delivered.
But-
As
Yeah,
God
yes,
does.
yes.
Well, he says, I could never have put a wish list together.
That encompasses
that
it,
would,
yeah.
that would come anywhere near what God has given me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying to people, leave it up to God. I wasn't even joking when I said that. It's like, no, God's got it handled,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And it's up to you to give thanks as though you've got it with such conviction that you've got it. I mean, obviously he didn't have a program under there.
I was going to ask about the program.
No,
Yeah.
he didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, for him, he was so in tune with having this thing
Yeah.
on that deepest possible level that wasn't there. So there's programs around other things. Like, well, we know that there are multimillionaires and successful relationships. There's a lot of people who have a lot of things, right, that they've manifested. And it only means that they didn't have a program around that. It doesn't mean they don't have programs around other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think when you're talking about LOA Uncorked, you've got to be very specific about what is it that I want and what is it that I believe to be true about myself that would stop me from having that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I love that.
Yeah. And we've talked quite a bit on the podcast about specific to LOA is really focusing, and you said it earlier today, really focusing on less about what exactly and the prescription around what you think you need, more on the feeling. How do I want to feel when I am where I want to be, or have the thing, or made this success happen, or received this, a support or path forward, right?
Am I showing up in a way that is conducive to me getting what I want?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. That was a mic drop.
We have done the podcast a long. That is a
Yeah.
brilliant.
Well, I had a woman
Brilliant
who,
perspective.
this is about beingness and frequency, right? I had a woman who took a year off work to do more education. And after the year, she sent her CV out. She was so confident and nothing, not one return on it. She rang me up, booked a private session, said, I've got no idea. She was sobbing. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And I said, yeah, but how are you showing up? And she went and said, what do you mean? And I corrected out of her system all of these programs that were saying, it doesn't matter how hard I work, I'll never be good enough. It doesn't matter how much education I have, I'll never be as good as a man. It doesn't, like all of these things were in there. Now the minute I took that emotional trauma and those decisions out of her system, she just went, oh. And the next day she rang me and she said, you will not believe this, but everything is starting to flow. I just went for an interview and I was offered the job on the spot because she was showing up in a way that was so magnetic. Her frequency was so full of what she was, who she was, not what she could do. And that was the other thing. She said, I was so focused on what I could do rather than who I am being.
Oh,
Right?
well, that's huge.
Huge.
That
It's
is
a huge
huge.
shift. It's a huge perception
No, I
shift, right?
totally understand that because I was such a doer.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though I started being that beer, I had no idea what was happening there. But that makes so much sense.
Do you think back to even just the story you shared about, your businesses and how you were showing up? It was less about what you were doing. It's more about how you were presenting and showing up. Just like
I love that. And what about, let's talk about the flow, because you said she got in the flow when these undercurrents, these codes started becoming undone. If you're not in the flow of something, and it's so funny, I mean, all your stories are so funny because I'm like, okay, well, I am a great candidate. I sent out, like, how many years I sent out? A gazillion. I got nothing back.
Yeah.
And, I think when you're stuck like that for no reason, and when my underpinnings were a little different, I was like, well, if I can only get a job at a different location, my husband will be better.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
a
he
typical
will
one.
be
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to
Oh,
get
yeah.
a different job,
Yes.
and then we're going to feel happier, and then things are going to be better. I did not get one call, okay? And I look great on paper. So it was like, and you're HR, I look good on paper. Nothing, zero. And so is it when you're not in the flow, or when things feel murky or stuck, is that the time to
That's when you
look
know
at your unprogrammed?
Oh, that's when you know you're in the wrong code, Todd.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Okay.
So the minute, look, I've got a saying, if you're feeling fear, negativity or pain, then you're playing a game. The unconscious has got you, and you need to uncover what it is.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Why do I love her so much?
I know.
I'm going to start stalking her too.
I know. And listen, this is I can help you with all the paperwork.
Oh, great.
Yeah. The restraining order. There's just a little bit.
I actually know where she lives.
I know. Well, there's a different form for that level. Yeah, but we can fill that out together.
Seriously,
Yes,
I mean, that makes so much sense. And so in your book, The CodeBreaker, are the readers able to figure out that DNA, that deep DNA in order to move them forward?
There is a first run, simple way of using it that works. So everybody can do it. I mean, they're not going to do it from a medium's perspective the way I do.
Right.
Sure.
But that doesn't matter. You don't have to.
Right.
You're still going to get the results, right? And then the other way is using this patch system. I call this a correction in a patch.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Tell
Correction
us about
in
the
the
patch.
patch.
I want to know about the patch.
Do you have a full body size one?
Oh my God! About this patch at lunch.
She is too cute.
I know. I was like, oh, that looks too small for me, but okay.
You know what?
Put up multiple.
Powerful things come in small packages.
I know.
I love that. At first I thought it was a Band-Aid.
No.
We did, but we read about this at lunch.
Yes, we did. We absolutely did.
So the reason why I'm passionate about this is because can you imagine if you spend decades doing quantum corrections, getting into the unconscious mind, helping people raise their consciousness in order to come to a place of wholeness and to heal.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you find that there's a scientist who has created a patch that is an organic crystalline structure of sucrose, water, oxygen, amino acids, and high frequency information. High frequency information that when you put it on your skin, nothing goes into the skin, nothing. Your light, we're all light beings, your light comes out, it hits the patch reflects the light back into the body with the information that activates the relevant amino peptides so that the body can heal. So what happens is, this is now sending messages to my brain, and by the way, I cornered the scientist in an interview. I said, when I open my patch drawer, I get high like I'm in an enlightened state. I said, this is an enlightenment tool. And he was quiet for a minute because nobody asked that question. And he said, yes, but we don't talk about the consciousness side of them.
Right.
And I said, okay, so talk about it now. And he said, well, what happens is the consciousness, your own consciousness, is given this information, and everything, all your DNA is being altered and changed by the information, and it goes to the pineal gland, which is the doorway to the divine. The scientist is saying,
Wow.
this is the doorway to the divine.
The
Wow.
The
scientist.
scientist is saying, this is the doorway to the divine, and the divine brings the information back down, and the body then realigns to its original divine
Wow.
blueprint, which means that the body can now heal itself of everything.
Wow.
Everything. And this goes for mental and emotional as well as physical, right? So this is so for me, at my stage of life, and knowing that I can't get to everybody, to actually have something that's bioavailable to all of us, that you can put on and you get me.
Right.
You get my work in a patch.
Yep.
Would you like me to go and get one of these for you guys and actually give you a correction with them?
Oh,
Are you kidding?
Okay.
Oh
right.
my
So
goodness.
the great thing about this, I really want everyone to
Yes.
understand
Yes.
this. The great thing is that when I give you a correction with these patches, they're going to get it too.
Oh, I love it.
Now, the scientists laughed at me because I said this is what I did. I was on a Zoom call and I used Daniel as a surrogate for everybody on the call. And I got everyone to think about something that's upsetting them, give themselves a number to 10, 10 being most. I put the patch on Daniel, and then I asked them, okay, how are you feeling? Every one of them had made a shift.
Wow.
So would you like to do that for your
Yes,
audience right
please.
now?
Yes, please.
I'm
Okay.
gonna put this down
Okay.
and I'll be
I'll
back
hold
in
it for
one.
you right
Okay,
here.
hold it.
All right,
Yep, got it.
wonderful. I
Oh my
love it. That's
goodness.
so amazing.
This is a break in the action, everyone.
Oh,
This is a
listen,
break in the
okay,
action.
so LOA Uncorked not only is on location, but we're getting
Yes.
treats. I mean, this is a treat.
You're welcomed into our treatment
I
facility.
know,
Yes.
I know. We need to ask though that if we,
Yes.
yes, this is very exciting. And Jeanna, it is all about energy.
It is about energy, and we talk about it so
Yeah.
much. And I have more questions about the reprogramming. We'll wait for Sandra to come back because I do really as we decode and reprogram.
Yes.
Do new things come forward to decode and reprogram?
Oh, I love
I'm
that. We
curious.
need to
Yes,
ask
we're
her.
gonna ask her
Yes.
when we come back.
We will
Let's
ask her
first
that.
she's gonna fix us, and then I have another
We're
question.
fixing all of you.
Okay, so I decided to give you a double treat.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Yeah.
Treats.
Yes, because this one's called X39 and it's a stem cell regeneration patch.
Oh,
It's
wow.
the reason why I don't look almost 70.
Yeah, you don't.
So,
really?
no, well,
No, she looks like very young. Like extremely young.
Yes,
Look
that's
at her
what
on YouTube.
Yes,
And
yeah.
she's gorgeous.
Yes.
well,
stunning.
I think the thing is that remember what you're reacting to is my frequency as well.
Yes,
When
for
you
sure.
say
Yes.
stunning,
No, you're right.
this is not just because look at the two
Correct.
of you. Look at there's so many stunning, it's this love frequency, this wanting to serve.
Well,
and
it
be
is.
of
You have a
It
beautiful
is.
necklace.
Yes.
And you dress nice.
Yeah.
And you are beautiful. So,
Well,
but so is everybody else in your
Yes.
own way.
Now your light is also, and the outside packaging.
Thank
It
you.
is just,
Well, it's how
yeah,
we're showing
incredible.
up in the world.
Yes.
100%.
Because when you
For
ask
sure.
me here, or I'm on stage, or I'm doing a program, I'm out of respect for everybody in my life. I'm going to show up the best way I know how.
Oh, I
Right?
totally-
And people, you need to know this. In life, how you show up, how you present yourself is an outward expression of what you think about yourself. Right?
I mean, that's another beautiful moment people need to realize. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a stem cell regeneration patch, and then I'm going to put on you this Eon patch, which is about emotional trauma and inflammation. Right, remember I said it's a correction in a patch,
Yes.
it's like me.
Yes.
So what I want you both to do, and everybody listen.
Everybody.
Okay. So
All
think
right.
about something that might be upsetting you, and you don't have to tell us.
Okay. Just one thing.
It can be as many as you like.
Okay.
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 Can we hold for like 20 minutes?
No,
Let's
what
let
you
it
do?
out.
What you do? Give it a number out of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
10 is it's really a challenge and it's upsetting you. 0, it's neutral. You're neutral. What number are you?
Oh, I'm a 10.
Yeah.
10.
Well, I have to tell you, everybody listening to this is high consciousness because most people try and go, oh, I'm a 6 or I'm a this or I'm a
yeah,
that. No. So you've actually really tapped in and you've gone, yep.
Because I know what neutral feels like.
Yeah, okay.
And this is so far from neutral.
That's exactly right.
That you're almost, let me explain it this way. You're so far from neutral that it's almost like it has a power over you.
Yeah.
All right.
Versus.
So
So can you hear what
Yes.
you've just said?
Mhm.
This thing has a power of you, so
Yes.
it's really emotional for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's
Yes.
let's wield some magic, right?
Oh my God.
Alright,
We're
well,
about
I
magic.
mean, this is better than me having to do a quantum correction.
Oh my God.
Just
Yes,
hold
I
that
will hold
for
this
me.
for you.
So what I'm going to do to both of you,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
just so everybody knows what I'm doing, I'm taking the patches. There's 30 patches in a sleeve, so it's a whole month's worth.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So you play it.
A
You
whole
just
month's
replace
worth
it every.
of new stem cells for
Okay,
$100, not
Wow.
$2,500.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
usually very expensive.
Yeah,
process.
very.
Mm-hmm.
I've got friends who had shark stem cells, $2,500.
Uh-huh.
Others who had other stem cells, $25,000. Remember you for real?
Yes.
So hang on, I'm putting that there,
Oh.
and I'm coming over here to put that on the back of your neck. This is one of the acupuncture points that we've been used. Now, I'm going to get the Eon one as well, because this combination is dynamite. Plus, you do have a glass of water here somewhere.
We do.
Yes.
We both have.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is called Catch, Hydrate, Heal. You know that this is all about energy. We're energy beings, which means it only makes sense that we would use energy to heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
But hydration is so important. Do you want to? Did I get it under your hair?
I got it.
Got it. You
Yep,
fixed it.
perfect.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So you don't touch the crystalline structure, and I'm putting this one here on the inside of your wrist,
All
right?
right. Mm.
And I'm putting this one right hand. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now, have a sip of water. You're having a sip of water.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Catch, hydrate, heal. Now, think about the emotion. Can you find it, or is it gone? She's trying, by the way. She's trying to find it.
I mean,
Would you say that you were
Oh,
zero
well.
now? I mean, truly, you have to watch this because you need to see her face.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, what the hell?
What the hell was I even
Right.
thinking
No,
about?
what was it? Yes.
Seriously.
What was I thinking about?
What was it that I had in my mind? And I was so distraught over it. I've always been distraught over it. So
Hang on
it's
a
not
minute.
there.
That's called neutrality, and that's called now you have the freedom to go beyond that, and you don't need to go back there again. And not
No,
only
no,
that,
I'm serious. There's something going on.
yes, it's called high frequency healing, and it's with a tiny little patch. Isn't it fabulous? I am so
Yes.
fascinated watching the two of you.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. She's coming on board now. Yeah.
No, seriously.
I know. Serious. Yes.
How
I
is
would.
that possible?
She does know.
Well, you know why? Because this. I spent 4 decades trying to get people to this stage you're
Holy
in,
crap.
and all I had to do was discover this technology. Can I have to tell you something. Hold on.
Yeah.
She's like, hold on.
Hold on.
Last weekend I was.
But you did nothing in this other than put the patch on.
Is
that all you did?
That is so funny. Yes, I just put the patch on, and you had some water.
Yeah, I got that part.
And you tested.
I mean, it looks like water. Is it
was-
really water?
Yeah, it was. I saw it came out.
No,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
I put
Just
really
kidding.
magical things in that water.
You have some magic filter going
Actually,
on
I
here.
do put magical things in the water.
Yes, bless
yeah,
that.
bless
Do all
it.
your thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
So last weekend I was speaking at the New Living Festival, and a woman, she was 83, came up and sat down beside me, and she bought some patches. And before I put them on her, I said, "How upset are you about something?" She said, "Upset? I'm so upset. I cannot tell you. I'm like,
Can't even talk about it."
I can't." She went, truly, no, but she couldn't stop. She said, "You've got no idea how upset I
I
am."
could have done
And
that.
yes, I know. I felt that from you.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. So I put the 2 patches on her, gave her a sip of water, and I said, "How you feeling now?" She said, "What about?" I said, "About what you were really upset about." She said, "I can't think about it."
No, that's
I don't
exactly
know.
how
That
I felt.
is.
Because I thought, okay, what was I
No, and then I went, is this just me thinking it's gone because I really want it to be gone? Like,
how
is
does
it
it help
gone?
our audience?
Yes,
members?
no.
I'm all about me right now. Let's get beyond me.
I am having more fun in this podcast than I've had in my whole life in any podcast.
Oh, thank God. And we're healed.
It's almost like we had like a bunch of alcohol or something, but
Yes.
there's no bad effects of it.
None.
Well, now you know when I open my patch drawer, no effects, no
No,
drugs,
because
no
you feel
chemicals.
a little
but you
less
feel
aggravated about these things when you're a little inebriated.
Yes.
So we've heard. So we've heard.
No, but no.
No, it's true.
But it's like there's I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how does our audience?
They're going to get them through you. And I think
Okay.
that this is going to be really important. They're going to get them through you. And what we'll do is we'll make, unless you want them to get them through me, but I think it would be much more fun for them to get them through you. That's up to you, of course. You can say no, I don't want to use them ever again.
Oh.
Or you can say yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we'll do is with everybody, when we're finished, we can give everybody your link so that they can go. And then what they do is when they get you and they get this magic and miracles, they get me. Because I am so devoted to helping end suffering.
Yes.
Daniel and I were knighted in 2017 in the St. John's Orthodox Church for our work helping to end suffering. And so for me, it's about, and this is about financial freedom as well, because working from home now is what it's all about.
Yes.
Right? Collaboration, support, curiosity. I've been in business for 50 years, and I have never had so much collaboration, support, and love in my whole life. That's what I have now. I started a Facebook group because 2.5 years ago I had bone on bone in my back.
Oh gosh.
If you can imagine what pain that
So
was.
painful.
I was in so much fear of living the rest of my life in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend said to me, nope, I'm going to patch you up. And I said, oh, okay. And she came and she patched me up. Within half an hour, I was completely pain-free. And by the way, I had a huge lump of arthritis on a nerve into my left hip. Daniel had to carry me to the bathroom. I was in so much pain. Screaming. And I had the MRI that showed what was happening. So
you could see it
I
when
went,
it's like that.
I went up to the scientist. I said, I've seen the MRI. I know I'm bone on bone. I know that this is happening. So how come I'm pain free? And he just smiled at me and he said, yes, and your spine is regenerating now.
Right.
And then my face, my eyelids used to be on top of my eyes, and now they're up where they should be.
Yes.
Right. 20 years ago.
Can you tell me how to do that?
Yeah.
I have this trouble.
Surgery was the only thing I could
Yeah,
think of.
yeah.
Guess what? You're
Yes.
wearing it.
Really?
X39.
Oh my gosh.
You're wearing it. That's why I gave you this as a treat.
Oh my gosh.
This is stem cell regeneration. It'll be done.
Okay.
So what for me it is for people to understand, be curious about the new technologies on the planet.
Okay.
Yes.
Because this man introduced that stem cell technology 3 years ago, just when COVID happened. And this is about the brain and activating the brain. There are 130 patents and 80 clinical scientific studies to prove that what he says they do, they do.
Wow.
But if you imagine, when I came out of there pain-free, I started a Facebook group called #PatchMeUpBabe. Okay. Patch me up, right? Yeah. And then so now you can go in there and you can ask a question. I'm suffering from this, or my friend's suffering from that, or my dog is paralyzed, or whatever. And everybody just jumps in and goes, oh, use this protocol, use that protocol.
Okay, that's
this
amazing.
is called major support system.
I love that.
And I do free Q&A calls every Tuesday at noon. If you want to create a business and you want to manifest financial freedom, and you find something that is making your heart light up as a global light worker, which we all are, then you have to go for it.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and ending people's suffering, setting people free of suffering, is the most important work we can possibly ever do.
Well, everybody is suffering, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I ask people, can you think of something that's upsetting you? I have never had one person say no.
Right.
Not one.
Right.
Yeah. And the suffering can be physical, the suffering can be mental,
Yes.
it can be
emotional. Well, mental and emotional can be just as bad as physical.
Oh,
Right.
I think they can be worse.
Well,
Because
and
people can't see it,
That's
right?
right.
And then people don't know how to, somebody even needs that support unless they're able to articulate it.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about the patch obviously will help this,
Sure.
I'm assuming, but this epidemic proportion of stress and mental
depression,
wellness and depression,
anxiety.
how do we,
This
is a big thing, particularly, it's always been there, but I think COVID has,
COVID and how the government's reacted and how we've been taken over and our freedoms lost and all of the things that happened that stressed every human being on the planet.
Yes.
All of those things the patches have helped. So this is really important. Remember, find your community, find your mentor, we do 2 o'clock every Tuesday week. When COVID started, we started doing free global meditation journeys so that people would have somewhere to go and go, okay, I'm at my spiritual filling station for half an hour now. I'm going to pretend that that's not happening for the moment, and I'm just going to put my own oxygen mask on. So we started doing that, and then I came across these, and it was like, okay, so now all of the people, like children with ADHD, depression, worry, anxiety, mothers who can't even cope, people who simply can't cope. This man, this scientist who is a gift from God, he designed a patch called Nirvana, which activates the 6 happiness endorphins in the brain so that they come through the system, including oxytocin, which, as you know, is love.
Yes, it is.
And they say within 3 weeks you have a level of joy that you didn't have before. But I've used them, Daniel's used them. It's been like a week for us. It just depends on where you're at, what you're going through.
Yes, sure.
And then Eon, this is emotional trauma deleted, right? And then like kids, some mothers put their little patch secretly in their pocket, and they tell the kids, this is your special secret. And the kid goes to school, he's emotionally stable and feeling 100% better, even when he's being bullied. And then there's another one called LOA.
That's amazing.
Which is my favorite.
So you don't actually have to put it on the body, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, when it's on it can be on your
I
back.
see what you're saying. Yes, got it. You hide it a little bit for the children.
For the children, we didn't want to be bullied. My granddaughter, who has a hole in her heart, lungs that are not working properly, and digestive systems at 6 months, we've got all of the patches on her onesie. And between the corrections I'm doing, the meditation and she's now able to hold food down. She can breathe. I mean, look, this is a gift, right?
Yes.
And this man blesses every single batch of patches that leave his factory.
Wow.
Who does that? This man is an American man who did what no one else has been able to do, which is discover how to activate copper peptide within our system. And copper peptide is a hostile environment for viruses. And right?
Yes,
and
that's awesome.
And he worked out how to activate the liver's ability to activate glutathione for 72 hours instead of having a $1,600 injection and it going through your system in 7 minutes. Now you put on a month's worth of, or 3 months worth of patches for $80, and you've got it in your system for 72 hours. I mean, how he knew how to do this, he's divinely downloaded all of this for humanity. But guess what the latest patch is? It's called X49. It's for people who, and I'm not going to use the word, but for people who've had drugs that maybe they shouldn't have had. It's to help them with their heart health, vascular health, so that blood clotting doesn't happen. It's EMF protection. It acts like a Faraday cage where, a Faraday cage is where you put, if you have your phone here, the signals can't come in and they can't go out, so you're not affected. So this patch, you're not affected by EMFs and bone density, which is incredible for women, and activating testosterone for men and women. So this is for younger people who are sports people, who want better muscle performance. They want to bounce back faster, rejuvenation. So that between the 39 and 49, the X39 and 49, he's covering the heart and brain as well as other things. But interesting that he would work with heart and brain health at this time on the planet. When we know that the brain is like, we breathe in graphene oxide. There's all of this stuff out there that is compromising our brain and heart health. And so this is like, here we have like the antidote to it. And obviously with the right exercise, sleep, diet, being holistic. Like it's a whole system.
Yes.
Yeah. And then of course we add the corrections into it, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden, we're who we want to be, with whom we want to be.
Yeah.
No, right. The whole you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
My question, while you were out of the room, we were doing like a little, color commentary while you were out of the room during the action of the program. The question was, so if someone were to come to you for a reprogramming,
Yes.
right? You do that work. They're off and running. Are there other things that can come up where they'll need more reprogramming, whether they do it themselves or work with
things
you?
are going to come up forever.
Yeah.
If you think about how many past lives we've had, and how many ancestral programs we've had, our DNA is chock-a-block full.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've noticed with my clients, after they've done a few live events, and then they've done some small group coaching and the meditations and patches, I'm looking at them going, oh, so they're very different people now. And this is what they would say to you. They would say, yes, I'm still having stuff happen.
Got you, yes.
But instead of going like this, I'm now like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens is there's this beautiful up and down which we all have.
Of course.
But it's not a that.
Right.
And this is a journey of enlightenment and wholeness.
Yeah.
When you start doing
But
that.
you can't always be as neutral. You
No.
don't know what neutral is.
No.
And you wouldn't be living, right?
Right.
That's right.
That's not what life is about.
Yeah. So reprogramming the mind is about having a whole new mindset training. And the CodeBreaker is a mindset training book.
Wow.
So the Platinum Life System is a mindset training system.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I love that. Okay.
Listen, Jeanna.
I
think I'm
in.
moving in.
I knew it. I know. I'm like,
I've never said that before,
No,
Sandra.
no, this is
I've
the
never
this is
said
the
it
first.
before. This is a new one.
Yeah.
But you took the words out of my mouth.
I could
We
see it in
have
your eyes.
moved in. We have so much enjoyed our time here with you, and it's just monumental.
Yeah,
And
it
so
really
we
is.
do want to know: is there anything? And we've covered a lot, but is there anything?
And I think we need to cover more. I
That's what
feel
we're
like
saying,
we
right?
are going to get back here in
So
like a couple
Daniel-
weeks. Is that going to work for your schedule? Like we'll come back and we keep going. This conversation is so rich. So yes,
Special.
finish your question. I'm sorry.
Yes. Is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know on LOA Uncorked?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that you can know is the truth about who you are. And until you get it, you're not going to get it. You're not going to have the joy and the happiness and the manifesting your dreams. And that is, you have to understand that you are a high frequency divine being and that you are love. And no, it's no one else's job to make you happy. It's no one else's job to love you. It's your job to make yourself happy and love yourself so fully. When people meet you, they go, oh, I can't help but love her. Why do I love her so much? Because you've shown up in the frequency of wholeness, in the frequency of unconditional love. So yeah, that's the parting words today.
Listen.
This is why we want to move in with you. Not just Holly. We're going to, the minute this is over, we're going to drop the mics and run to check out the other bedrooms and claim one, just like on a girl's trip.
Drop and run. That's what we do.
I'm going to get there first.
Well, thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for all the work you're doing in the world. I mean, what you're doing is so important. We're blessed to be here with you, and we love you too. So
any opportunity we have to support what you're up to, we're right there for you.
Absolutely. We'll put everything in the show notes. You will have all the information where you can get in contact with Sandra and Daniel and the patches and
CodeBreaker
and
everything.
all of it.
All of it.
Thank you. All right.
Love you all. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.